One of the best parts about reptiles is they're affordable. Most reptiles most of us can buy on a regular salary, but these 5, none of us can afford. Everybody can afford this animal here. A normal bearded dragon might cost 50 or $100. Leopard gecko is easily found for 20-something dollars a lot of the times. In fact, last week I told you about a trade I made for 30-something leopard geckos for 2 snakes. But these 5 reptiles aren't. And to make this not ridiculous, these are all animals that you could go out and buy right now. Not something that like a Parenti monitor or a Komodo dragon that you have to really source, and anyone who wanted to source them could probably afford them anyway. These are things that are available for sale right now that you just can't afford. So no Parentis and no Komodo dragons, but let's talk about Croc monitors at number 5. Croc monitors are essentially the second biggest monitor lizard in the world. Some people would say even longer than some Komodo dragons, and they're from the same part of the world. They're from Indonesia. So they're a semi-arboreal animal that has razors in their mouth and razors on their hands. This is a monitor that is not forgiving. This is not for new keepers. This is for advanced keepers, and you're gonna wanna know what the heck you were doing. There's a few people in the world that can really tame them out, but chances are it's probably not you, and you probably can't afford them because although you can buy wild-caught ones for, $2,000 or $3,000, if you want a captive one, those are gonna be around $5,000, $3,000 to $6,000 most likely. So instead, if you are truly committed that you want a big monitor, because this is a big monitor, get an Asian water monitor. Oh yeah, through this whole video, I'm gonna tell you better options that you could actually afford. Now, Asian water monitors, the problem is most people can't afford to set them up because you're gonna need a huge enclosure, a giant enclosure that's gonna cost money. Nobody makes them unless you get them custom made. They need a big water area as well, and an animal that's gonna get 6+ feet long, sometimes even longer. It's a huge animal. Now, if I had any animal in the world that I could get with no thoughts of realisticness, realism, you know what I'm trying to say here, it would probably be a black dragon. Black dragons are a melanistic water dragon. They're so freaking cool. I love them. I just can't afford the space. They need so much of it, but you can afford to buy them. Even the black dragons now are under $2,000, and then a regular, Salvador, Varanus Salvador, you can buy for something like $400, $300, something like that. Amazing animals. I don't recommend either one of them for most people, which brings us to number 4, something that most of us could stand to have, a Bolans Python. Now, Bolans Pythons are big snakes, okay? This is a 6 to 10 foot animal from parts of Indonesia, New Guinea, usually the Papua area. So they're elusive. They're hard to find in the wild. They're very difficult to breed in captivity, which is why they're so expensive, because they're at crazy elevation. So there's probably some sort of cooling off period. Very few people have figured it out. I mean, there's guys like Kevin at Nerd who did figure it out. And in fact, if you want to buy a Bolans Python, the only ones I can find available right now on the internet are from Nerd, and they're all $12,500. So you're going to be spending about $10,000 to $15,000 for captives. Sometimes you can find imports for cheaper, but in general, if you want a big black snake that is semi-arboreal, going to be spending its time in the trees, so crazy iridescent, it just looks like an oil slick, get yourself a reticulated python. And there are certain morphs that look very similar in terms of coloration. Golden Child, I believe, is the name of the morph. It's almost black, okay? A black snake that when you take it out in the sun, it looks insanely iridescent. That's what we're all after here, right? We're after an animal that is gonna be really cool to look at. Of course, these aren't gonna have the same banding and coloration as the Bolans Python. Oh, somebody mentioned in the video before that Diamond seems like he's a little bit more movie and groovy than normal. It's true. I don't know why. It just is. A Bolans Python is 6 to 10 foot, so I would recommend getting a super dwarf reticulated python if that's what you want. And I do think that they're somewhat similar. I mean, of course, Bolans Pythons and reticulated pythons are both from Indonesia. They're both pythons. They look somewhat kind of sort of similar. But I think that reticulated pythons, for some people, are amazing. I mean, they're not my favorite thing. They're not my cup of tea. I much prefer Burmese pythons, but Burmese pythons don't come close to as cool as the look and the feel of a Bolans python. And at the price tag that they're at, I certainly can't afford them, and you probably can't either. Spending almost $10,000, or more than $10,000 rather, on one animal it's a lot. It's more than I've ever spent on one animal, that's for sure. Now, obviously, don't go and buy these things as a flex. It's not a flex to have really expensive animals. It's really gonna hit you in the wallet, and if you're looking for a really cool one, I suggest today's sponsor, Groove Life Wallets. If you're watching the channel for a while, you know I love minimalist things and wallets and things that don't make bulges in the pockets of my pants. Groove Life hits it right on the head. You got the money on the one side, you got up to 6 cards on the other side. You can put more on this side if you want. I just prefer my Canadian funny money on this side. It feels like quality. I like that. I like quality things. You can feel when something is not quality, and this ain't it. Quick access mechanism, you can do it with one hand, basically, kind of just like pull all your cards out like that. It's my gym membership that never gets used, obviously. And it's RFID blocking, so no one's gonna walk up to your pocket and go boop, boop, and then steal all your stuff. Plus, Groove Life is backed by a Groove guarantee, which just means if you have any issues whatsoever, let them know and they'll make it right. So head on over to the link below and get yourself the last wallet you'll ever need. I love my Groove Life Stealth wallet, and I think you will too. Number 3, Aldabra Tortoises. Tortoises in general can be expensive to house. Most tortoises take up quite a bit of room, but most of them to buy are pretty cheap. So if you want an Aldabra, I mean, babies now are in the few $1,000s range. But if you want an adult, something that's been around for a while, we're talking about, 10 plus thousand into $100,000 range if it's a breeding pair. Now the price is going down, but here's the thing. Aldabra tortoises need to be very old in order to be sexually mature. So it takes forever to get them to a breeding age, and they live forever, and they're freaking huge. So this is a huge commitment that's gonna take tons and tons of the space that you own on your property, and most people don't have that. So not only are they expensive to buy, very expensive, they're very expensive to house, and they're very unavailable for most people. Now, I've been to reptile expos all over the place. The one in Texas, I actually did see some available because it makes sense. People can keep them outside for most of the year there. But everywhere else I go, the Toronto one, Chicago, where even LA, there's just, you don't see them. You just don't. Now they are available, but I mean, into tens of thousands of dollars, it's not an animal that most of us can afford. Instead, get yourself something like a sulcata tortoise. Sulcata tortoises are dirt cheap for most of the United States. If you live in a place like Arizona where everybody has one, look at your local reptile shelter and you can probably get one for next to nothing. Now, people like to say reptile shelter, reptile shelter. Most places, we don't have reptile shelters. There are no reptiles available at shelters where I live. Not one, you never see them. But if you can rescue one, of course, that's always a great option. Sulcata tortoises are huge too. They're the 3rd biggest of all the tortoise species on Earth. So not quite as big or as cool as an Aldabra. I mean, I'm not gonna try to pretend they aren't. But with that said, they're still pretty cool. It's an African spur-thighed tortoise, okay? These tortoises are from Africa. They're rough and tumble, and they'll go through your walls if you let them. They are amazing animals. I love them. If I had room, I would absolutely have one, but I don't. So instead, I have red-footed tortoises, which actually one of them is pretty freaking big. Number 2, Amazon Basin Emerald Treeboas. Now, Emerald Treeboas of any sort are not cheap, but the Amazon Basins are especially expensive. We're talking about $9,000 is a really good price, or $8,000 I think is the cheapest I've ever seen one that was captive bred. Occasionally you can bring them in from the wild, and I've seen them for about $12,000 or so. I think it was $20,000 for a pair, where I bought the northerns. Spoiler alert, there's 2 different species, right? There's the Amazon Basins, which are bigger and more beautiful, and then the northerns, which are smaller and less beautiful and more cantankerous. The pair that I bought, I think it was $2,000 Canadian, as opposed to buying them for like $18,000 or whatever it was for a pair of the Amazon Basin. Now, Amazon Basins are huge, right? They're big, they have that crazy dorsal stripe. I mean, it's a dream species for most of us and such a showy snake, but emeralds that are northern, I think they're pretty freaking cool too. I think they're the bee's knees, in fact, some might say. Neato burrito, and I have 3 of them. The smaller one that I have, which is a female, we're actually gonna be putting in the big enclosure. I was supposed to film that today, so we're gonna be in the next couple of weeks anyway. If you wanna hit subscribe, can't wait to add a predator to my giant enclosure with frogs and everything else. But it's an arboreal snake that's gonna spend most of its time perched, and they look like ornaments. They're jungle ornaments, that's what they are. They're absolutely freaking fantastic. And they eat really, really well. They're hardy snakes, but I always recommend getting them captive. And even so, they're pretty expensive. I mean, we're talking over $1,000 for an individual. So if you want something even cheaper and similar, get yourself an Amazon Treeboa from the same part of the world, skinnier. They have some really cool morphs. The Halloween phase is my favorite. They're cantankerous, they're little bitey shoelaces, but some people can really tame them down, but they're way cheaper. I mean, 400 bucks or cheaper all day long. It's almost hard to compare at this point to an Amazon basin, but I mean, they're pretty freaking cool. Number one is an animal we've never spoken about before, gold-spotted tree monitors, or Varanus bahami, Bohemii. I know at least 2 different breeders who breed them and many more that have talked about them, and they all pronounce it differently. Either way, these tree monitors, the tree monitor people are not gonna like me for saying this. I don't get it. I don't really get, like, it's a $15,000 animal wild caught, okay? So captives are gonna be much more expensive. We're talking about $15,000 for a tree monitor that, to me, looks so similar to a black tree monitor, which you can get for, you know, 1,500 bucks. Now, I do get it. It's different, it's rare, it's unique, there's a story behind it. Like, I'm not totally ignorant here. But I think for the price difference, to me, the price difference between a northern emerald tree boa and an Amazon emerald tree boa just isn't worth it. And the same thing here with a gold-spotted tree monitor versus, say, a black tree monitor. And in fact, I think the blues are more beautiful, and you can get those for like $2,000, $2,500. So to me, would I rather get one Bohemii, or 10 blacks? And to me, I would just rather buy the black tree monitors because I think they're freaking gorgeous. I have one coming. I'm so excited. There's in the back, the enclosures are almost done. Like, one of them is ready to go basically for plants. I'm so freaking excited to get my tree monitors in there. And there's guys out there like Brandon from Cold Blood Canada, who I got my blue tree monitor from. Shout out, thanks, fantastic animal. I'm obsessed. And he's breeding all the species of tree monitor you can legally have here. And to me, that's really cool. I get it. He's obsessed. There's guys like that. Cody Kopp is another guy in the US, and they're just obsessed with tree monitors. And I get it. I love tree monitors too. But to me, I don't know. I'm more of a bang for your buck type of guy. What do you think? If you had all the money in the world, would you get 10 of the blacks, or would you get 1 of the gold spotted? Same thing with the emeralds. Let me know what you would do if you had the money to do either one. As always, thanks so much for watching, hitting like and subscribe. It really does help the channel. Patreon, you guys get videos early, discounts on merch, you guys get sneak peeks of all that stuff. There's also that one in the middle I've not talked about at all either. All for as little as $1 a month, and because we do videos on Mondays and Thursdays, that means I'll see you in the next one. Okay, this is ridiculous. Ow.